The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. It came not through conventional channels, but manifested as a holographic projection in the middle of the United Earth Defense Council's main chamber. The assembled military leaders and politicians stared in stunned silence as the alien figure materialized before them. The creature stood nearly 8 feet tall, its gray skin shimmering with an almost metallic quality. "I am Ambassador Gray of the Galactic Council," it announced in perfect English. "Your species has been assessed and categorized. You will now begin paying your duties to the greater galactic community." Admiral James Porter, commander of Earth's Space Forces, stepped forward. His weathered face remained calm, though his knuckles turned white as he gripped the podium. At 65, he had spent 4 decades preparing humanity's defenses, though none outside this room knew the true extent of those preparations. "We welcome peaceful contact with the galactic community," Porter replied diplomatically. "Perhaps we could discuss terms of mutual cooperation." The alien's laugh echoed through the chamber. "This is not a negotiation, primitive species. The Council has ruled. Earth will provide 30% of all its resources as annual tribute. This includes minerals, water, biological materials, and processed goods." Murmurs of outrage rippled through the assembled leaders. General Mike Thompson of the North American Alliance stood up, his face red with anger. "And if we refuse, then your species will learn why no one refuses the Council." Ambassador Gray's hologram smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "You have 30 standard days to prepare your first tribute. Our collection fleet will arrive then. Non-compliance will result in consequences." The hologram flickered out, leaving the chamber in tense silence. Porter turned to face the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's time to implement Protocol Omega." President Laura Wilson of the United Earth Government nodded grimly. "How long have we really been preparing for this, Admiral?" 10 years, Madam President. Ever since our deep space arrays detected their first communications, Porter activated the room's secure display system. "They think we're primitive because we've kept our true capabilities hidden. Our public space force is indeed small and basic, exactly what we wanted them to see." The display filled with images that made several council members gasp. Massive shipyards hidden inside Mars's Valles Marineris. Construction facilities buried deep under Europa's ice. Asteroid bases that appeared to be nothing more than mining operations. "We have 28 battleship groups ready for deployment," Porter continued. "Each group consists of 1 main battleship, 3 heavy cruisers, and 12 destroyers, all equipped with our latest drive systems and weapons technology." Defense Minister Robert Brown leaned forward. "Can we really stand against their fleet? They control thousands of worlds." "We don't need to beat their entire empire," Porter replied. "We just need to prove we're too expensive to conquer. Our ships are built on principles they won't expect. We've adapted Earth's naval warfare concepts to space. While they rely on energy weapons, we've developed kinetic weapons that can't be stopped by their shields. While they build flashy ships for intimidation, we've focused on practical designs that maximize survival and firepower." President Wilson stood up. "Very well. I'm authorizing full implementation of Protocol Omega. But we play this smart. Let's not show our hand too early." Porter nodded. "Agreed. We'll maintain our appearance of a primitive species preparing tribute. Meanwhile, our fleet will move into position. When their collection fleet arrives, they'll find out exactly what humanity is capable of." As the council members filed out to begin preparations, Porter stayed behind, staring at the tactical displays. They had spent a decade preparing for this moment, building in secret, developing technologies that would surprise even the mighty Galactic Council. In 30 days, humanity would either earn its place among the stars or face extinction. But Porter allowed himself a small smile. He knew something the Council didn't. Humanity had never lost a fight for its survival, and they weren't about to start now. The next few days would be crucial. It was time to wake up the sleeping giant that humanity had built in secret. The Council wanted tribute. They would get battleships instead. 10 years earlier, humanity had received its first warning. It came in the form of a faint signal detected by the Deep Space Array on the far side of the moon. The message wasn't meant for human ears. It was a casual conversation between two alien ships about harvesting resources from primitive worlds. Admiral Porter remembered that day clearly. He had been a younger man then, with fewer gray hairs and more patience. But even then, he knew what had to be done. "The underground shipyards are fully operational, sir," reported Commander Ann Wells as she walked with Porter through the massive facility beneath the Martian surface. Their footsteps echoed off steel walls as they watched robotic arms assemble the massive vessels. The latest battleship, Thunderchild, hung suspended in its construction cradle. Nearly a mile long, its black hull was designed to absorb both radar and energy weapons. Unlike the sleek, artistic ships of the Galactic Council, Earth's vessels were built like the old ocean-going battleships, tough, practical, and bristling with weapons. "How many ships are ready for immediate action?" Porter asked, watching workers in spacesuits welding armor plates. 28 battleship groups, as planned," Wells replied, checking her tablet. "The Europa facility just finished their last cruiser yesterday. We've been running drills in the asteroid belt, keeping everything hidden from Earth's civilian telescopes." Porter nodded. The deception had been necessary. If Earth's population knew about the massive fleet, word might have reached the Council. Instead, they had built in secret, using the cover of mining operations and research stations. "Show me the new weapons systems," Porter ordered. Wells led him to a testing chamber. Through thick observation windows, they watched as a prototype gun fired a specially designed projectile. The round, barely visible to the human eye, punched through 3 feet of the strongest armor the Council used in their ships. "Traditional kinetic weapons," Wells explained. "While they focused on energy weapons and shields, we've perfected old-fashioned bullets, just very, very fast ones. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not solid objects moving at near light speed. And the ship's engines. Better than we hoped. The gravity drive lets our ships move like wet Navy vessels in space. We can perform broadsides, just like the old battleships on Earth's oceans. The Council's ships are built for straight-line combat. They won't expect us to be able to turn and fight like this." Porter stopped at a viewport overlooking the main construction bay. Below them stretched row after row of completed ships, their dark hulls gleaming under the artificial lights. Each one represented humanity's determination to remain free. "What about the crews?" he asked. "Trained and ready. We've been running simulations for years. Every captain and crew member knows their role. The AI support systems are fully operational. They'll handle the complex calculations needed for combat, while letting human judgment make the important decisions." A small alarm chimed on Wells's tablet. "Sir, the Europa facility is sending new data. They've finished testing the shield penetrator missiles." Porter smiled. These missiles were perhaps their greatest achievement. Designed to slip through the energy shields the Council relied on, then deliver devastating payload directly to the enemy hull. "Have all ships begin loading their full combat complement," Porter ordered. "But maintain radio silence. As far as the Council knows, we're just a primitive species barely able to reach our own moon." "Yes, sir." Wells paused, then asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. "Do you think we can really win against them?" Porter turned to face her. "Win? Maybe not. But we can show them that humanity isn't worth the cost of conquering. We've spent 10 years preparing while they've spent thousands of years growing complacent. Sometimes that's all the advantage you need." As they walked back to the command center, Porter thought about the message from the Council. They expected tribute from Earth. Instead, they would find humanity's response waiting in the dark spaces between the planets, ready to teach them a lesson about underestimating primitive species. The Thunderchild and her sisters would soon have their chance to prove themselves in battle. Porter just hoped all their preparation would be enough. Earth's official response to the Galactic Council was a masterpiece of humble politeness. The message, delivered by President Wilson herself, showed a nervous leader asking for more time and clarification about the tribute demands. Behind that facade of weakness, humanity's hidden fleet was moving into position. Admiral Porter stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, watching as his flagship slipped silently through space. The massive battleship's engines were running dark, using minimal power to avoid detection. Around him, crew members worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. "Status report," Porter ordered. "All battleship groups are in position, sir," reported Lieutenant Tom Baker from the tactical station. "Group Alpha is hidden behind Mars. Groups Bravo through Echo are using the asteroid belt for cover. The rest are stationed in Jupiter's shadow." Porter nodded. The Council's collection fleet would arrive through the designated jump point near Saturn. They would expect to find a helpless planet scrambling to gather resources. Instead, they would find themselves surrounded. "Message from Earth Defense Command," announced the communications officer. "The Council has rejected our request for negotiations. Their collection fleet has entered the outer solar system." "Right on schedule," Porter muttered. He turned to his command screen, watching as red dots appeared, representing the approaching alien ships. "How many?" 50 vessels detected, sir. Mostly cargo ships with light escorts. They're not expecting any resistance." Porter allowed himself a grim smile. "Send the order to all groups. Maintain positions, but begin powering up weapon systems. Remember, we show nothing until they're fully committed." The bridge crew worked in tense silence as the alien fleet approached. Hours passed as the collection fleet moved closer to Earth, their sensors showing nothing unusual. To them, the solar system appeared empty except for a few civilian satellites and mining operations. "Sir," Baker called out, "the alien commander is broadcasting a message to Earth." "Put it on screen." The alien commander appeared, his gray skin and sharp teeth similar to Ambassador Gray's. "Primitive humans, we have arrived to collect the Council's tribute. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction." Porter pressed a button on his command chair. "This is Admiral James Porter of the Earth Defense Fleet. We reject your demand for tribute. Leave our solar system immediately." The alien commander laughed. "Earth Defense Fleet. Our scans show no military vessels. Do not attempt to bluff us with empty threats." "Look again," Porter replied calmly. At his signal, every human ship powered up simultaneously. Suddenly, the alien fleet's sensors lit up as 28 battleship groups revealed themselves, emerging from their hiding spots throughout the solar system. The alien commander's face showed shock as he realized his collection fleet was surrounded. This is impossible. You're a primitive species." "We prefer the term careful planners," Porter responded. "You have 5 minutes to turn your fleet around and leave. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force." The alien commander's shock turned to anger. "You dare threaten a Council fleet? We will make an example of your species." Porter watched as the alien escort ships began moving into attack positions. They were badly outnumbered, but pride would force them to fight. "All ships, battle stations," Porter ordered. Warning klaxons sounded throughout the Thunderchild as crews prepared for combat. "Remember your training. We've practiced for this moment for 10 years." The first alien ship fired, its energy weapon lancing out toward one of Earth's destroyers. The beam splashed harmlessly against the destroyer's armor, designed specifically to resist such attacks. "They've made their choice," Porter said quietly. "All ships, you are cleared to engage. Show them why humanity doesn't pay tribute to anyone." The Thunderchild's massive engines roared to life as the battle began. Around the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet moved with practiced precision, closing in on the shocked alien forces. The Council had demanded Earth's tribute. Instead, they would receive a demonstration of humanity's true power, delivered through the barrels of guns they never saw coming. The real war was about to begin. The space around Saturn erupted in fire as humanity fought its first interstellar battle. Thunderchild turned sideways, presenting its broadside to the nearest alien cruiser, "All guns, fire," Porter commanded. The battleship's massive railguns roared to life, sending streams of hypersonic projectiles toward their target. The alien shift shields, designed to stop energy weapons, might as well have been paper. The kinetic rounds tore through their defenses and ripped into the hull. Secondary explosions blossomed along its length as the proud council vessel broke apart. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Baker reported from Tactical. "Enemy vessel destroyed. Their shields had no effect against our kinetic weapons." Porter watched as his fleet executed the battle plan they had practiced countless times. The human ships moved like old sea vessels, turning to present their broadsides, firing, then rotating to protect their vulnerable areas. The alien fleet, caught completely by surprise, struggled to adapt to this unexpected style of combat. "Sir, the enemy commander is trying to regroup his forces," reported Commander Wells from her station. "They're falling back toward their cargo ships." "Not this time," Porter said. "Order groups Charlie and Delta to cut off their retreat. Keep them contained." On the main view screen, Porter watched as two battleship groups moved to block the aliens' escape route. The council ships, designed for straight-line combat, couldn't match the human vessel's ability to turn and maneuver in 3 dimensions. An alien destroyer accelerated toward Thunderchild, its energy weapons blazing. Beams of deadly light splashed against the battleship's black hull, leaving only slight scorch marks. "Return fire," Porter ordered calmly. "Show them what our point-defense guns can do." Thunderchild's smaller weapons opened up, filling space with a storm of metal. The alien ship's shields flickered and died under the onslaught. Moments later, its hull began breaking apart. "Enemy fleet is down to 30% strength," Baker announced. "They're losing ships faster than they can reform their battle line." Porter nodded. The Council's arrogance had led them to send a lightweight collection fleet, expecting no resistance. Now that same fleet was being systematically destroyed by the very primitives they had come to subjugate. "Sir," Wells called out urgently, "3 enemy ships are making a run for Earth. They're ignoring all other targets." "Not on my watch," Porter growled. "Launch missile squadrons 3 and 4. Let's show them our shield penetrators." From Thunderchild's launch tubes, dozens of missiles streaked out. Unlike traditional weapons, these had been specifically designed to slip through energy shields by matching their frequency. The alien ships, confident in their defensive technology, realized too late that they were vulnerable. The missiles passed through their shields as if they weren't there. Each warhead detonated against bare hull plating, ripping the council ships apart from the inside out. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," Baker reported with satisfaction. "They're trying to retreat in all directions." Porter keyed his comm system. "This is Admiral Porter to all enemy vessels. Your fleet is destroyed. Your mission has failed. Surrender now, and we will spare your remaining ships." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then the alien commander's face appeared on screen. Gone was his earlier arrogance, replaced by shock and fear. "How?" he demanded. "How did primitives like you defeat council ships?" "We're not primitives," Porter replied. "We're humans. We spent 10 years preparing for this day. Your council's demand for tribute merely told us we were right to build our defenses." The alien commander's shoulders slumped in defeat. We surrender. Please spare my remaining crews." "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded," Porter ordered. "You'll be treated fairly as prisoners of war." As the battle ended, Porter looked at the tactical display. Out of 50 alien ships, only 12 remained, all of them heavily damaged. The human fleet had lost no ships, though several had taken minor damage. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them the collection fleet has been defeated." He paused, then added, "And tell them to prepare. The Council won't take this humiliation lightly. This was just the first battle of what's likely to be a much larger war." The real test was still to come. The Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos when they received news of their collection fleet's defeat. "Impossible," roared Councilor Rex, slamming his fist on the grand table. No primitive species has ever defeated council ships. These humans must have had help. Ambassador Gray stood before the council, his earlier confidence replaced by nervous tension. The reports are clear. Their ships used weapons we've never seen before. They adapted ocean warfare tactics to space combat. We underestimated them. The council chamber, a massive room with seats for representatives from 1,000 worlds, buzzed with angry voices. The defeat of a council fleet by a primitive species threatened everything they had built over millennia. High Counselor Max, the oldest and most powerful member, raised his hand for silence. "Show us the battle footage," he commanded. The chamber's holographic system activated, displaying scenes from the disastrous battle. Council members watched in stunned silence as human ships executed perfect combat maneuvers, their kinetic weapons tearing through the most advanced shields in the galaxy. Analysis indicates they spent years preparing, Ambassador Gray reported. They hid their true capabilities, letting us think they were weak while building a powerful fleet in secret. "Then we will crush them with overwhelming force," Rex declared. "Send in the main battle fleet. Show these humans the true might of the Council." High Counselor Max studied the battle footage carefully. "These humans are cleverer than we thought. Notice how they let us come to them, fighting in their own territory. They used their solar system's geography to their advantage. The main fleet will overcome any tricks they have," Rex insisted. "We have thousands of ships." "Deploy the fleet," Max ordered after a moment's thought. "But be cautious. These humans have already surprised us once." As the council meeting ended, their massive battle fleet began assembling. 5,000 ships, the largest force the council had deployed in centuries, prepared for the jump to Earth's solar system. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, Admiral Porter received the news from their long-range sensors. "They're gathering a massive fleet," Commander Wells reported. "Early estimates suggest 5,000 ships, maybe more." Porter nodded, showing no sign of worry. "Right on schedule. Are the automated defense platforms in position?" "Yes, sir. 2,000 platforms hidden throughout the Kuiper Belt, all powered down and waiting. The council ships won't detect them until it's too late." Porter turned to his tactical display, where green dots showed the positions of Earth's defensive preparations. For 10 years, they had planned for this moment. "Status of the AI combat systems?" he asked. "All battle groups report their AIs are fully operational," Wells replied. "The quantum computers are running combat simulations faster than the Council can give orders. We'll be able to predict their moves before they make them." Porter allowed himself a small smile. The Council thought they were sending an overwhelming force. They didn't know that humanity had turned their entire solar system into one giant trap. "Message from Earth Defense Command," the communications officer announced. "All civilian populations have been moved to underground shelters. The surface defense grids are powered up and ready." "Good," Porter said. "Send word to all ships. Execute Operation Storm Shield." Throughout the solar system, human ships began moving into new positions. Unlike the previous battle, this time they would let the Council come deep into the solar system before springing their trap. "Sir," Wells said quietly, "do you think we can really win against such a large fleet?" Porter turned to face his crew. "The Council believes that numbers alone win battles, but humanity has always known better. We win through preparation, innovation, and determination. They're fighting for pride. We're fighting for our survival." He looked back at the tactical display, where red dots showed the approaching Council Armada. "Let them come," he said firmly. "Let them bring their 5,000 ships. They'll find that humanity has turned our whole solar system into a fortress, and we've had 10 years to prepare its defenses." The final battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The Council was about to learn why you should never corner a species that had spent its entire history preparing for war. The Council's main battle fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. 5,000 ships filled the void, their weapons powered up and ready for revenge. Admiral Porter watched them arrive from Thunderchild's bridge. "And so it begins," he said quietly. "All ships, commence Operation Hell's Reign." Across the solar system, 2,000 hidden defense platforms suddenly powered up. The Council fleet found itself surrounded by automated weapons systems they hadn't detected. Before they could react, the platforms opened fire. "First wave of shield penetrator missiles away," Lieutenant Baker reported. 10,000 missiles launched from automated platforms. The Council fleet's commanders barely had time to register surprise before the missiles struck. Designed to bypass shields completely, the weapons tore into their targets. Hundreds of alien ships exploded in the first minute of battle. "Council fleet is attempting to regroup," Commander Wells announced. "They're moving into defensive formations." "Perfect," Porter smiled. "Signal all battleship groups. Execute pincer movement. Let's show them why we named this Operation Hell's Reign." The human fleet emerged from hiding, attacking from multiple directions. Unlike the collection fleet, these Council ships were proper warships. But they still weren't ready for humanity's style of combat. Thunderchild led the charge, its massive railguns firing continuously. Each shot was guided by the ship's AI, hitting with perfect accuracy. Around it, other human battleships performed complex maneuvers that the Council's rigid battle doctrine couldn't counter. "Enemy flagship identified," Baker called out. "They're trying to coordinate a counterattack." "Target their command and control ships," Porter ordered. "Let's see how well they fight when they can't communicate." Human destroyers darted between the larger Council vessels, their weapons targeting communication arrays and sensor systems. The Council fleet's coordinated movements began to break down into chaos. "Sir," Wells shouted, "they're launching fighters." "Activate the minefields," Porter commanded. Throughout the battlefield, hidden antimatter mines began detonating. The small Council fighters, lacking the heavy shields of larger ships, were torn apart by the explosions. "Council fleet has lost 30% of their ships," Baker reported. "They're still pressing the attack, but their formation is breaking up." Porter nodded grimly. "Launch our second wave. All ships, prepare for close-range combat." The human fleet moved in, engaging at point-blank range where their kinetic weapons were deadliest. Council ships, designed for long-range energy weapon battles, found themselves fighting an enemy that ignored their strongest defenses. Thunderchild shuddered as it took hits, but its thick armor held. Porter watched as his ship executed a perfect broadside maneuver, its guns tearing apart 3 Council cruisers in rapid succession. "Enemy fleet is down to 50% strength," Baker announced. "They're beginning to retreat." But the Council commander wasn't done yet. A group of their largest battleships formed up, preparing for a desperate charge toward Earth. "Not today," Porter said. "Signal all ships. Execute Thunderstrike." Every human vessel turned their guns on the charging Council ships. Thousands of kinetic rounds and missiles struck simultaneously. The Council battleships vanished in a series of massive explosions. "Council fleet is in full retreat," Wells reported, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "They're abandoning their damaged ships and running." Porter keyed his comm system. "This is Admiral Porter to all ships. Allow them to retreat. Show mercy to any ships that surrender." The remains of the Council fleet fled in disorder, leaving behind nearly 3,000 destroyed or disabled ships. The human fleet had lost some ships too, but their casualties were light compared to the enemy's. "Send word to Earth," Porter ordered. "The main Council fleet has been defeated. Begin rescue operations for survivors." As his crew cheered, Porter looked at the battlefield display. The Council had sent their mightiest fleet to crush humanity. Instead, they had learned a harsh lesson about underestimating their opponents. The battle was over. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged victorious. But Porter knew this was just the beginning of a new age for Earth and its people. 1 month after the Great Battle, Admiral Porter stood before the Galactic Council, not as a primitive begging for mercy, but as Earth's representative demanding change. The council chamber was quieter than usual. The empty seats of those who had lost ships in the battle served as a stark reminder of humanity's victory. High Counselor Max sat in his central chair, looking older than ever. "You have proven your point, Admiral," Max said wearily. "Your species is clearly not primitive. What are Earth's terms?" Porter stepped forward, his dress uniform gleaming under the chamber's lights. "Earth demands full recognition as an equal power in the galaxy. No tributes, no subjugation." "Granted," Max replied quickly, perhaps too quickly. "That's not all," Porter continued. "We know about the other species you've been exploiting. That ends today." Angry murmurs filled the chamber. Counselor Rex stood up. "You dare dictate terms to the Council. You may have won 2 battles, but we can build more ships." Porter smiled. "Can you build them faster than we can? While your fleet was approaching Earth, our factories never stopped working. We now have 40 battleship groups, not 28, and that's just the beginning." He pressed a button on his datavad. The chamber's holographic system activated, showing images that made many council members gasp. Massive shipyards around Mars and Jupiter, weapon factories built into asteroids, defense platforms guarding every approach to Earth's solar system. "We spent 10 years preparing for one battle," Porter explained. "Imagine what we can build in peacetime, now that we don't have to hide." High Counselor Max raised his hand for silence. "What exactly are you proposing, Admiral?" "A new galactic alliance," Porter replied. "One where all species are equal, where tribute is replaced by trade and subjugation by cooperation." "Impossible," Rex shouted. "The Council has ruled for 10,000 years. And perhaps that's the problem." A new voice called out. A representative from one of the primitive worlds stood up. "We have watched Earth defeat your greatest fleet. If they can do it, perhaps we can too." More representatives stood, species that had paid tribute for centuries finding their courage. The Council's power was built on fear and intimidation. Earth had shown that even the mightiest could fall. Porter watched as the old order crumbled, just as planned. "We don't want to destroy the Council," he said clearly. "We want to help build something better. Earth offers its protection to any species that wishes to join the new alliance." High Counselor Max studied Porter for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. Perhaps it is time for change. The old ways have made us complacent, arrogant. Your victory proves this." Over the next few hours, the foundation of a new galactic civilization was laid. The Council would remain, but as part of a larger alliance where all species had equal voice. Tribute would be abolished, replaced by fair trade agreements. As Porter prepared to return to Earth, High Counselor Max approached him privately. "Tell me, Admiral, how did you know you could win?" Porter thought about the long years of preparation, the countless simulations, the determination of every human who had worked in secret to defend their world. "We didn't know," he admitted, "but humanity has spent its entire history preparing for threats, adapting to overcome them. When we detected your ships 10 years ago, we did what we always do. We prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." Max nodded thoughtfully. "And now you'll help protect others." "That's what the strong should do," Porter replied. "Build a better future for everyone, not exploit those who are still developing." As Thunderchild broke orbit to return home, Porter looked at the collection of alien ships now flying alongside. Not as conquerors or tribute collectors, but as allies. Earth had won more than just a battle. They had changed the galaxy itself. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but as a beacon of hope for countless other species. The age of tribute was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And it all started because the Council made one simple mistake. They demanded tribute from a species that had never learned to surrender.